Ah, Charles, you have returned from your trip. How was it on the Beagle?
An enlightening experience, Father. I've learned of the true origin of the animals today.
My child, you have known this from the beginning. As it says in Genesis, the Lord created the species as He created this world.
No, the church is wrong. I have seen species change, adapt, and become something new we have never seen before. The plants, the animals, they have changed from whatever they were before.
The Bible tells us the Lord created all this species perfectly to live in harmony.
Does the Bible tell you of the struggles the creatures face, of those that overcome and those that fail to survive?
Show me proof that may show even how the birds around us have changed.
How convenient of you to mention birds. At the Galapagos Islands, there were finches and insects that would only eat seeds from plants. Each island had different plants, and the birds and insects would have different beaks depending on the island they lived on. The beaks would help them eat and survive.
In his observations on the Galapagos Islands, Darwin saw 4 different kinds of finches. Each had a beak that was highly adapted to its food source. The first finch was a large ground finch. It had a large short beak for cracking nuts. The second finch was a medium ground finch. It had a large long beak for small soft seeds. The third finch was a small tree finch. It had a small short beak for grabbing insects. The fourth finch was a green warbler finch. It had a small long beak for insects and fruit. Because of natural selection, the finches were able to adapt their beaks to survive.
Even though you say this, there is only one change. God could easily cause the birds to swim under the water, let alone change their beaks.
Still you resist change against the church. Then let us look at the cats and dogs we see in England. They have similar bone structure in their limbs, yet look and act very different.
God has obviously created them this way for His own divine plans. We must not question His designs, for He knows all. They may have been made to coexist and live together.
I have reached a different idea. I have concluded that dogs and cats descended from a similar ancestor and branched from one another at a point in the lineage. Common ground between species due to ancestry is called a homology.
Homologous structures are structures in different species that are similar because of common ancestry. These 4 mammals have 4 limbs that serve different functions. However, they are constructed from the same basic skeletal elements. Homologous structures provide evidence for the existence of common ancestors.
Have you been convinced yet? Has your blind faith in the story of creation stumbled? Has it been shaken yet?
The only thing that has faltered is my pride in your education. You had such a bright future in the church, just as your father had wanted. But now you're a heretic.
If I have not yet convinced you, then maybe I can change your thought with this. The bones of animals represent their personal body in what scientists are calling fossils. Comparing older and newer generations of fossils allows us to see how a species change.
And what of that? Old bones do not show how animals change. It simply shows how they lived their lives and how their bones were affected.
The fossils that are spread over a long period of time relate to the lineage of a species. It will show how a homology appears over time rather than linearly. The location of fossils can also show how past species moved across the lands.
Biogeography is the geographic distribution of species. When a population of a species moves to a new habitat, individuals mutate to adapt to the environment, eventually becoming a new species. Also, if 2 different species grow up in similar environments, they may adapt similarly. Fossils of a species, as a result of biogeography, support the theory of evolution.
My dear Charles, you have failed to convince me with your novel ideas, but may God bless you.
And Charles Darwin was not discouraged by Father Francis or his faith. He continued his quest for knowledge and further engaged in his study of evolutionary relationships between current animals and their ancestors.